Hello everybody, January 24th, 2022. Doing a public video here tonight on Bitcoin. So let's take a look at the price action here. And obviously we continued downwards as was expected. This really looks like an extension on the third wave, right? Initially I was thinking maybe this is third wave here and we're getting this little bounce here for the fourth. However, it did not continue downwards low enough to hit the target zone for 5, which would have been down here. So instead I have to assume that that was an extension on the third wave, and we still are going to be seeing a final lower low here. I'm willing to change my perspective on that, of course, if it proves a low is in place, but it hasn't quite yet done that. So this was the typical zone right here. If that is our end of 3, then this zone right here, 35 to 36.7 or so, is typical fourth wave resistance, but it's actually not invalidated until it goes above the 0.5, which we haven't done yet. That's at about 38K. So that's kind of our first warning sign that maybe something is happening differently than we would expect. Now, that being said, this whole move downwards has been kind of weird and choppy. Like if you remember, this fourth wave went up higher than it should have as well, and then we obviously saw a big strong reaction downwards. So I'm not necessarily expecting a clean resolution to this area, but you know, we got to go with what the chart gives us basically. So I'm not necessarily going to be stopping out of my short positions over this level, but I am going to be watching it much more closely and seeing if 5 waves form in the micro, and go from there. But basically, until we get above 38, I'm still going to assume that we're heading lower. And at this point, the target for that is about 29.4 to 30.7. And once again, the caveat to that is the larger picture shows us 28.2 even as possible. And as long as we remain above about 25K, we are still in decent position to continue the bull market after this does find a bottom. So let's see here. RSI and PPO are obviously getting pretty topped out here. Doesn't mean that it can't continue upwards, but if bears were going to take control, this is a darn good time to do it. Let me go down to the 5-minute chart here quickly and just look at something here. It is possible based on this action here. If we look at this fib, right, if we consider this to be our micro 1, 2, this is 3 and 4, and that's 5, it actually does make some sort of sense, or maybe this is 1, 2 here. It doesn't really matter. It's possible we have 5 waves. It's not super clear, and this area is the main issue with it, right? This is not an impulse up for sure. But we're also on a 5-minute chart, so how much can we really expect from it? I don't know. But in any case, it's possible that we have a little micro 5 up. And so what we would expect to see, if that is the case, let me get a fib retracement here from the bottom to the top. Okay, we would expect to hold somewhere in this 382 to 618 region, and we would need to see that as a 3-wave move, right? And it kind of looks like we have a 3-wave move there, but we didn't quite hit the ideal zone, so that makes me a little bit hesitant about it. So perhaps this is A and this is B, and we're getting a larger C down. That's certainly possible as well. But what I'm going to be watching for with the overnight action is what happens from this zone here. Assuming we get a spike down, what happens from that zone? Do we get a nice big reversal and break this high. If we do, I'm going to be a lot more inclined to say this could in fact be a 1, 2 in the micro, and we may in fact be going up and the bottom could already be in. So if that were to happen, if I see this come down and a big spike up when we actually break that 37.5 high, in that case I would consider looking to start taking profit on my shorts anyway, and then wait for further action to clarify what's happening. And we would see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, you know what, let's just assume it goes to the middle of that green box. If it were to play out that way, we can see where exactly we might be headed in a 5-wave move. What exactly does it need to do? So we obviously don't have this move yet in place, but let's say it goes sort of the middle of that box, just for argument's sake. So if that were the case, that would give us 1, 2, our third wave should go up somewhere at least here to 42, ideally to 43.5. 4 would come down to hold about 40, and then 5 would go up to about 45K. So if we can get 5 waves up, this is going to be the best indication that we have that a bottom has already been struck. So 5 waves up to about at least 44.4, potentially up as high as 45.8. If it can do that, the next pullback after that is going to be an excellent place to buy back in, because we'll have a pretty decent looking impulse up, including this initial one is, like I said, potentially 5 waves. I'm not fully convinced yet, but potentially it's 5 waves. So if we can do that, I'll consider the bottom to be in, and we'll rebuy then sort of in this mid-30 region, wherever that pullback goes to, right? And that'll depend on how high it goes and how far it wants to pull back and all that sort of stuff, right? But we should have a fairly decent pullback, at least to the 382 of the move, where we can start buying back in. So that's the plan. It is in its infancy right now, but there is potential. That bottom's already been struck, okay? And that is how I will consider the bottom to be in. Otherwise, if we break through, this green box is really the ideal place. If we go down below it, like it's got a little room here to, maybe the 764 or so to go up from there, but it's going to start looking a lot more if we break down below that. Let's call it 34K. If we go below 34, then it's almost a guarantee that we're going down here to that 30K level that I have marked for the 5th wave area down there. 29.4 to 30.7, somewhere in that region. So that pretty much sums up what I'm looking at on Bitcoin right now. So we'll see what happens from this green box here. If we can get that to hold and then press upwards from there. Like I said, we may have a bottom in place at that point. The volume is decent if you want to look at volume, but I don't know that we've truly seen a capitulation wick yet, which really we would like to see. This is a capitulation wick. That's capitulation volume there. So that kind of leans towards another push down as well. If we can see push down that happens with that volume like that, that'll be a pretty key indication that the bottom is in as well. And obviously, this did not indicate the bottom, but I was also, after the choppy action that we had in here, I also kind of knew it wasn't bottom, because we were just getting 3-wave moves. We did not get an impulse off any of the lows there. So that's basically what we're looking for. Still waiting for that impulse. That's the safest thing to do. Whether that comes now or comes from a lower low remains to be seen. And again, I don't have any interest in calling the absolute bottom. I don't have any interest in trying to buy the absolute bottom. For anybody that was trying to buy the absolute bottom, they've gotten wrecked multiple times, right? They tried to buy the bottom back here. They tried to buy the bottom back here. tried to buy the bottom back there. Guess what? The bottom kept bottoming even more. So, again, confirmation is really what we need to wait for, because this can continue pressing down. And there is no guarantee, right? Even though I believe we probably are going to bottom at least by like 28.2, it just makes sense in the larger term chart. Even though I believe that, it doesn't mean it's going to happen for sure, right? And I need to have proof from that area in order to say we are in fact going up. Because if we break that 25K area, then we've got a whole bunch of other scenarios we need to deal with. And I'm not going to be happy if I jump in, at 30K and then it cracks down and continues downwards to 20K. That's not going to make me happy. So that's not what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be buying in at 30K. The only thing I might do is like maybe 5 or 10% of my portfolio, maybe I put it there. If I see a large capitulation wick, if I see this playing out in a way that makes sense, I may go ahead and put some in right there. But it is not going to be 100% of my portfolio. I'm not doing that until we have confirmation that a low is in. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Any questions, of course, you should be hopping into the group, Trade Like a Whale. We have a Discord group set up. You can come in and chat with me, ask me any questions you want. And of course, consider becoming a member. There's a free 2-week trial where you can ask me about any altcoins or stocks or anything else that you want as well. All right, everybody, safe trading, and I will talk to you all on Friday.